Hello guys, I'm sure you guys have must encountered a situation where Excel is returning an error or certainly not the expected return value expected from a formula. Honestly, to be right with your formula 100% of the time is like being over ambitious 99% of the time. But there is an easy way out. To manage errors like division errors, value not available error, or reference error, or sometimes when Excel return blank cells as well, or some other kind of mistakes which Excel through and more often a user do in Excel. But the good part is Microsoft Excel provides some error handling tools to evaluate or debug those problems. And in this tutorial, I am here to help you learn how to make the best use of those tools. To follow along, you can download the workbook from the link given below. And last but not the least, click subscribe and send me a shot of motivation. Oh yes, don't forget to hit the bell. Enough of talking, let's jump into the spreadsheet now. Let's start with an example. In this case, we have two functions, SUMIF and COUNTIF in a formula. The basic purpose of this formula to calculate the average quantity of each gadget. But in this case, it is showing error, or you can say it is just returning zero value. But this is not expected from the formula which we have built based on our understanding. So let's try to find out ways given by Excel to find any error in the given Excel formula. Let's first start with evaluate formula. Here, the evaluate formula show the result of the underlying expression. If you click evaluate, you can see there is a change in the formula box here. It actually trying to show the values step by step within the formula. The first part of the formula, which is related to SUMIF, returns 0. Well, you can see here there are quantity and we are looking to find an average. So it should have some value here. And now see the COUNTIF section. So it is 3. So the number of counts of mobile is 3, which is right. So the problem lies in the first part of the formula, which is related to SUMIF function. Now let's check another way to evaluating a formula, or you can say auditing a formula to find an error. This is using keyboard shortcut F9. This is the most handy tool which you will be using when working on Excel and you are looking to find where the error is. This is very easy way. You just select the function here and click F9. You can see the number, the return value of this particular part of the formula. Similarly, you can do this for the first part of the formula, which is 0 again, which is same as the evaluate, which you can really see this is an error. Don't forget to click escape after F9. We can also get into each of the argument of a given function and click F9. We can see here how handy this keyboard shortcut can be for evaluating a formula. In this case, we can see that the range and the sum range is both same, which may be a problem. We can also look into insert function. Using this pop-up box, it gets easy to identify any error. Here you can see the explanation of each argument. So in this case, it is range is the range of cells you want to evaluate. In this case, we have selected a wrong range. We want to evaluate the gadget column, not the purchase. So we can go here and just change the selected range. You can also see the results in the function argument box. Click OK. Now we can see the final quantity, or you can see the average quantity using this formula is returning the right value. So in this example, we understand using evaluate formula F9 shortcut key, and how to use insert function. All these three of Excel tools can be very helpful in finding errors. We will next look into using trace precedence, trace dependence to find error in Excel. Trace precedent and trace dependence are very handy tool of Excel to check accuracy or error of a difficult formula, especially when it is linked to multiple cells on a different worksheet or different workbook. Trace precedent is to find the cells or group of cells that affect the value of a particular cell. Like in this case, if you click trace precedence, you will see these two cells, and this group of cells is affecting this value. The blue arrow is cell which is showing no error, and the red arrow is from where the error is flowing through this cell. To remove trace arrows, we can just click remove arrows here, and the trace dependent is to know which cell this cell is affecting. So if we click trace dependent, we can see that this particular cell is getting affected by this cell. So C16, the dependent cell of C15. Now let's use trace precedence and trace dependent to find the error in this table. Here we are doing some forecasting based on the input worksheet, and we are getting some kind of error. So if you click trace precedent here, you can see that the error is coming from this particular cell. If you again click the trace precedents, you will see the next layer of the link, which is coming from this cell, and this is also red. If we click again trace precedent, we will see that there is a black arrow. Black arrow indicates that the value of C7 is coming from another worksheet. This icon is worksheet icon. If we go and click on this black arrow, we can see the link and click OK. Now we can see that cell which we see in C7 is linked to this particular cell. Similarly, we can use trace precedent here as well to understand the error. If we click here trace precedent, we can see that the selection, in this case both arrows are blue. Excel is not recognizing the error here, otherwise the arrow would have been red. But if we closely go and look into insert function here, now we can see that the final result here is showing an error. In the sum product function, it is important that the range select for array 1, array 2 should be similar. Like in this case, rent per month total range selected is 1 more than number of units here. So we can go and change this selection. Let's do this. And now we can see that the final value is right, and we can see all the errors are gone. Now let's try to see some of very important mistakes which a user can do while writing a formula. Many times I have created a formula and I found there are errors. Let's check this example. In cell E6 we can see there is a division formula of D6 and B6, but we don't see any value, neither any error. It is simply showing us cell links. The reason behind is that of the format of this particular cell. It is important to make sure the format of the cell of a formula should not be text. It should always be number, currency, or percentage, or accounting currency, but not text. In this case, I will change it to percentage. Okay, let's make it this, but it hasn't changed yet. So what we will do, we will select the cell and click F2 and enter. Now we can see an error, not just in a text. Similarly we can do for other cells as well, but in this case the Excel is returning the number, not the error, because we have a denominator value. If you will see this error, there is a green triangle, and over here you can see a notification divide by 0 error. There is a 0 in the denominator that is resulting into divide by 0 error. You can look into error checking options here as well. You can, if you wish to change this color green to something else, it is up to you. There are different kind of error checking rules as well. You can tick and untick, and that's how this small triangle will disappear. But in this case, we want to see how to manage this error. As we can see, there is a divide by 0 error. To handle such kind of error, the important thing first of all is you must be sure that this formula is right. Now, the second step is to manage this particular error value. In this case, we will use a very important function, that is if error. If error return a different value in case the return value is an error. In this case, I will just make it a text. Now in the place of error, Excel is returning not available and the green triangle disappeared. Similarly, we can do for other cells as well just by dragging it down. So we can see all this where there was an error is now not ending, and just by simply using if error function. So in this example you understand, to make sure a formula should not have a text format, and if there is a return value which is an error, you should use if error function. Let's check out our next section of the tutorial. These bonus questions are these two questions which will handle two different kind of errors. This will give you an idea when you will be using any Excel formula or you find an error, then how to manage them. So let's check out both questions. We have an error. I have input some function here and selected the range, but it is returning an error. So just think and find the best way to manage these errors. I will be showing you two Excel functions to handle such errors in answer. Now let's check out our second question. In this case, I have used index and match function to create this formula, in which if I enter a number here in cell F18, the formula return the value from the column B. But if I go and manually change the number here, as you can see 0.419 in formula bar, this is resulting an error. The index and match function is not returning any value from column B. Although if you will see, actually both of them are logically true. But when I just go and copy this number and directly paste here, then you can see the Excel is returning the value from column B and the right number. Whereas if you will go and see in the formula bar, the number is exactly same. There is no difference. So when I enter the same number manually, the Excel return an error. Whereas when I paste the value directly in the cell, Excel return the right value. So what is going on? Just try to think about it. Please download the Excel workbook from the description and try to figure out both questions. I will be showing you the answer, but before that, just pause the video and figure out. So let's check out our answer now. In the first problem, we were getting error when we were using only sum function. To manage such kind of problem or error, you can use SUMIF and aggregate function. In the SUMIF function, you can simply condition that if there is a value which is NA error in this example should be excluded while adding this range. So we will exclude NA error in the range using not equal to sign. Similarly, if you want to average or count a range of data with error, we can use average if and count if Excel function with not equal to sign. This is very simple. And we can also use aggregate function. The aggregate function in this is a very robust function. We can use this function in multiple ways. If we go and check out the function now, it is basically giving an idea that what kind of function you want to apply on a given range. In this case, I have selected 9, that is sum. You can also select average or count based on your requirement to manage error, and then in the option you can select different kind of options. Again, here I have selected ignore error value. You can select based on your requirement, and then we will select the array or the range. Now let's check out our second example. In this case, we were getting error when we enter value manually, whereas when we copy paste the value from the cell directly, the Excel was returning right value. The basic reason behind such kind of error is the binary floating point. This is the anomaly in Excel. Sometimes Excel compare data by rounding a digit to 15 significant digits maximum, whereas sometimes it return value based on the exact binary difference. That means without rounding a value. Just see this cell. In this case, I have multiplied two large number and Excel giving me an exponential error here because the return value is more than 15 digits. So sometimes Excel actually compare two digits after rounding it to 15 digits, and sometimes Excel doesn't do the rounding. It check exact binary difference. So in the case of index and match, it checked exact binary difference, and in case of logical check, it checked 15 significant digits difference. And that's why even though logically both number were true, index match return error. So in this case, we can simply use round function. This is a very important function, especially when you are dealing with lots of numbers. Now you can see that when the number which I pasted was exactly 0.419, but now Excel is returning error after rounding. If I enter it manually now, the Excel will return correct value. So the reason for this error was the binary difference and how Excel compare the same number based on different conditions. Thank you for watching the video. Have a nice day.